My name's John Dew. I'm the Managing Director of Dew Cadre Change Associates. We're a small change management company in South Wales, and our mission, our company vision if you like, is to help the public sector transform over the next 3 to 5 years. Just published our first book, envisioning the next chapter of public service. It is a challenging and stimulating book that reflects on how we've done so far in responding to the immense challenges the public sector faces, and provides some insight and some opportunities for our leaders at an executive and a political level to transform and respond more effectively. I've got complete admiration for the political and executive leaders that we've got in the public sector. They're doing a great job, and I understand the responses that they're making. The problem is we're not dealing with the big issues. We are locked into 20th century ways of working, and that simply isn't good enough. That's not going to take us to a safe port. It's not going to avoid us being overwhelmed by that tsunami wave. And as a result of that, my message to leaders is we need to do something different. Anyone can reduce budgets. Anyone can cut costs. That's the easy thing to do in a time of economic crisis. It really is a very, very straightforward thing to do. The real challenge, and I'm not sure that our leaders have focused on this yet, is how do we move with real agility, and how do we transform our direction quickly, smoothly, and find a new way, find a new path. And that is the challenge, and we're singularly, from what I can see, failing to tackle it or address it. The challenges facing the public sector are immense. We all know that these are tough times, national debt, austerity measures. We face the challenges of the digital age and technological advance. Every facet of our lives is being transformed by technology. There's the environment and social change, social demographic impact as well. When you put all those forces together, this is an extremely challenging time for the public sector. And I guess the point I'd make is we've got some fantastic public servants who are doing an incredible job. But those challenges, the perfect storm conditions our country faces, demands that our leadership respond with more agility and creativity than we currently are. And let me just explain what I mean by that. The current response that our public sector leadership is demonstrating, for me, is classic management response. I can understand the measures and the actions that are being taken, but what I can't understand is the fact that we seem to be locked into management responses and approaches to these complex challenges that I witnessed in the 70s and 80s. So, the management responses of leaning our organisation, of reducing staff, of cutting back, they're all things that we need to do. But I can't understand why we're not looking at these challenges in the round, why we're not trying to be more creative and innovative, and why we're defaulting to those 20th century management responses, seemingly because there's no other option. And the quest that my company's been on for the last 12 months has been, is there a different way? Can we actually generate new ideas, new approaches? And the public sector has got to play its part. It is 30% of our workforce, and actually the raison d'etre for our public services is to serve and support the nation. And my view, and it's shared by many of the people that I've consulted over the last 12 months in researching the first of my 2 books, is that the public sector has to reform, has to lead that transformational journey and help the nation's recovery. And it can't do that if it's locked into 20th century management responses. Our employment contracts and our employment terms and conditions actually hold us back from reinventing and redesigning ourselves. So we've got to tackle that. It's one of the big issues that I think our public sector have to confront. And again, if you look at the challenges that we face, if you look at the here and now, it appears that we're broadly on top of it and holding our own. The reality though is that just down the road, in a few months' time, in 12 months' time, there are a whole range of forces that are going to impact this country. The Eurozone and the eventual breakup of that could have a massive impact. And my personal view is that, you know, we will start to see the Eurozone dismantle over the next 12 to 18 months. You've got a risk over oil prices. That could have a massive impact on our economic recovery and the journey that we're currently on. And again, all we need is to, for instance, lose our AAA credit rating, and that will lead to higher interest rates, which means that we will be more indebted and it'll be even tougher to reduce our national debt. And let's not forget that despite the austerity measures, our national debt is not declining or decreasing, it's increasing by over £5,000 per second, or £18 million per hour. So in that context, we only need one or two things to shift on the global stage, and our current response actually is nowhere near as fast and as agile and as inventive as it needs to be. So the challenge for the public sector, for public sector management, is how do we think out of the box? How do we think 12 months, 3 years, 5 years ahead with real creativity and agility? And then how do we transform our public services with that visionary foresight and new creative and innovative options for change that we desperately need? And the problem that we've got with our current public sector institutions is that, you know, we are heavily reliant on, you know, traditional hierarchy to reliance on individual experts in specialist fields and functional departments. But what we actually need to do is to open these up to multidisciplinary environments where a wide range of views and professional disciplines are brought to bear on those complex issues. I've mentioned previously, you know, that time is against us. And you know, the old traditional ways of doing things where you set up a task and finish group or a steering committee, you know, we can't wait for 6 months for those ideas to be brought to the table. And actually, the way we set those task and finish groups up now and those steering committees is a barrier. We give them a terms of reference. We say these are the things we want you to look at, but only those. So we immediately start to form barriers and hurdles to that creative process. We go even further to constrain them. We actually say, here's the membership. It's only these vested interests or these people we want to be part of it. And what do we do when they report in 6 months' time? And in 6 months' time, our nation's national debt will have increased by £80 billion because of the time delay and the interest on our debt yield. What do we do when they do report? We keep the report insular, we determine which parts of the recommendations are released, and we then start to consult more widely. Mission critical intervention teams are the complete opposite of that way of working. Yeah, the principle of leveraging collective thought, freeing up creative thought and engaging as many people as possible is very much of the time, and you know, that's one of the major strengths of mission critical intervention teams. It allows you to do just that. You know, I say to anyone who's watching this video now, particularly those from the public sector, it's the easiest thing in the world to respond to your primary mission, if that's what it is, of responding to the Treasury imposed budget deficit reductions that have been imposed upon your organisation. Anyone can cut budgets, anyone can live within a budget, that's what managers are paid to do. But that's not the mission that we need to be focusing on in the public sector. The mission we need to be focusing on is looking at all of those forces, and finance is the key driving one at the moment, there's no doubt about that, the economic conditions that we face. But we need to be focusing on all of those issues in the round from a sustainability perspective. And we need to, the big challenge, the big issue that we need to be tackling is how do we transform our public services with agility and speed? How do we make ourselves fit for purpose for the 21st century workplace? And currently, we're not doing it. And the evidence of that is Are the big ticket issues that we face in this country, in the public sector, seriously being debated and taken forward by anybody? Can we afford our current local government infrastructure anymore? I believe that we can't, but is that question being addressed? How do we transform the interface between health and social services to make it more affordable and better for the citizen? Again, very complex issues, but we're not tackling it. And fundamentally, in terms of the public sector response to date, our current employment terms and conditions and employment contracts are holding us back and have locked us into 20th century industrial era management response. We cannot move in any direction because we are locked into those contracts. I understand where they come from, I understand the protection they offer, but the reality of it is we're in the 21st century. We need a workforce that's agile, that we can move, that we can shift from sector to sector. And the days of having a job for life and a gold-plated pension for public servants have gone. Mission critical intervention teams are unique entities. They are flat, non-hierarchical, multidisciplinary teams. They're characterized, I guess, by being high energy teams, having a high impact on the outcome. They are totally driven and focused on completing the single mission that they've been set by the leader or sponsor. And they really are unique environments. People who've worked in them, that I've guided on them, have actually left them and said that they've never felt so empowered, so energized, so enthralled by the subject and the contribution they've been able to make. Some people have described them as life-altering work experiences because they are so creative, so forward-looking, and in terms of the public sector approaches to it, you know, it is a real shock for individuals from the public sector who've been part of high-impact intervention teams to be set free, to be allowed to ask the difficult questions, to be allowed to go in areas that they previously wouldn't have been allowed to go. So, you know, we're not talking about a normal project team or a task and finish group or any team environment that you would have seen operating within the public sector. They are really easy to establish. It is a really straightforward process. Identify the mission, the big ticket issue that you want to have addressed. Set the team environment, create the team environment, pick the team in terms of it being representative and holistic and multidisciplinary. Provide it with the tools it needs and the leadership. And in my view, that leadership needs to be an independent consultant, not a member of any of the organisations or representative bodies, but an independent consultant who understands the approach and can actually guide the team, not lead the team. It's the team's mission to complete, but to motivate and guide the team and help the team during that 2 or 3 week period overcome any barriers or hurdles that they encounter. Their sole purpose, their raison d'etre, is to solve that mission or to address that mission for their leadership. So form the team, set the mission, give it appropriate guidance rather than leadership, and set it free to do what it needs to do. The beauty of these team environments, for me, is that ideas, approaches and options are revealed for the first time that would otherwise never see the light of day, because of the barriers, the hurdles, the constraints, the inability for people to work in a truly multidisciplinary environment, free from constraints and baggage. It overcomes those barriers and is a fantastic, absolutely fantastic vehicle for getting the fresh ideas and the fresh thinking that we desperately need. Why would anyone in the public sector in the UK not want to give this a go? Why would they not want to expose their real mission critical challenges, their must-win battles, to this methodology? Why wouldn't they want to? But these are absolutely new environments, and their benefits massively outweigh the risks, especially in the context and setting of the challenges our nation currently faces.